Hello and welcome to the Jerich Show, everybody. As you can see, no, Eric has not undergone plastic surgery and become younger and far more handsome, but I am indeed at my good friend and colleague, collaborator, should I say, Tom Langford's place. Hello, Tom. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated.
And also, Tom's kindly agreed to sponsor the show today. So
Yay!
TL2 Security is the sponsor.
Yeah.
And that's where the good news ends, because unfortunately, we are joined by Mr. Eric Crone. How you doing, Eric?
Yeah, thank you for sponsoring, Tom. Although I think the sponsorship was something about lunch goods in the UK, yes, which does me absolutely no good whatsoever.
And Jav's eaten it all as well.
It's of course he has. Of course he has.
If there's any consolation, it was very good.
Lovely, wonderful to hear. It's nice to see you, Tom. It's been a while, so
it has. Well,
happy to have you on our lovely show.
It was February, wasn't it, when we last saw each other?
It was RSA when we were all trying not to get sick and all that.
Behind your couch in your hotel room.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, you cameoed one of our daily recraps.
Yes, you were there at the inaugural Jerich show.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that the inaugural one?
Yeah, it was all the second or third one. That was the week that we started it. Look how far we've come now.
Yeah.
I think we gained like 2 viewers.
Guys, you need a plan.
Plans are for wimps. We're going to wing this as long as we can. I'm trying to figure out a way to write this off of my taxes, so we're good.
So we recorded the Host Unknown podcast earlier. So Tom and I and Andy, we have a group called Host Unknown, and we do a weekly podcast. And Andy brought up that this day in InfoSec about 10, 12 years ago, Bruce Schneier released his book, Schneier on Security. And the book was pretty much just a collection of his articles from his blog. That was all it was. So I thought, hey, we could do it for the podcast. We could actually do it for this as well. We could get someone on Fiverr to transcribe the contents of these videos, and we could just publish it as a book.
The one problem with that, though, is that if Host Unknown do it first, you'll simply just be copying the content of Host Unknown's book, because doesn't this show just lift the content from Host Unknown?
It's think of it like a remake, a reboot, a reimagination.
Oh, what?
It's been practiced before.
You're going to tell me they're going to remake Hackers next?
Yeah.
I did see something about that, actually.
Yeah, on the Host Unknown podcast.
Which is
See, Javad's right. There's only so much news that goes around, and I will say that I try to get original stuff. He just goes with the stuff he just finished with. So.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fresh in my mind. I think, just cherry pick the best show, the best content.
The best show, yes. Completely.
So now we're 3 minutes into this, and we've lost both of the viewers that normally attend.
So let's leave a bookmark in the content, like to actually watch the show. Start at the 3 minutes and 30-second mark, and you'll be good.
I like that. I like that. So what content do we? And I'm getting an echo there. Yeah, echo. I'm assuming you have speakers on.
Are you hearing yourself back?
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't matter now. There's nothing we can do about it.
We're a very unprofessional group here. Tom,
you know that minutes before we started to test the audio and you didn't say anything, and now all of a sudden it's an issue.
Well, I think it's because you guys have finally shut up and now we can hear it. So, Tom, you know that our tagline here is what is it? It's good topic, poorly presented, right? It's something along those lines, and so we're true to that form.
Yeah, timely topics, poorly presented.
Timely topics. That's the one. I don't even remember the name of that here. Oh, great. Okay. Okay, let's get started though. Javad, what is it you just talked about that you'd like to talk about again?
I haven't talked about this, but I would like to talk about it. It is Friday, the 2nd of October, 2020, and that means it is officially National Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
We did talk about that.
No, we didn't. We spoke about the Twitter video I put out
about National Cybersecurity.
So, okay, National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. This is an entire month dedicated to trying to get people to be maybe a little bit more secure online and what they're doing with their stuff, right? And so actually, I think it's actually a very good thing that we have a little bit of focus on that. It gives us as security professionals an opportunity to try to do a little bit more and maybe get the message out to people and may motivate us to do that as well. So I know I have several things planned for this month with different groups to be able to do that, and a lot of training for end users as well. So Javad, what are your thoughts on it? Is it worth the time? Is it worth maybe making a logo for or something? I don't know.
So I think it's a good initiative, but I also think it can be misguided if you try and distill it just down into 1 month. It's not something that, and you and I, we work in the industry, and I'm sure, Tom, you've got stuff to add to this as well. So but it's not something that you can just, you don't get done with security awareness. It's something that is a continual process. It's ongoing. And, it's great to use it as a motivation point to leapfrog off, but then you need to continually go about it. I'm reading a book at the moment called Atomic Habits, and it's all about how small changes can make a big difference over time. And I really like the concept because it's kind of like compound interest. You make a 1% improvement every day or week or month or whatever, just a small improvement. And that will compound over time. That 1% becomes 2, 4, 8, and it just becomes better and better. So it's something that we absolutely use this month as a great point to talk about topics and get people invigorated about it. But at the end of the day, let's look to make continuous improvement over long periods of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every month should be Cybersecurity Awareness Month, right? But what what I do like about it, though, is it's a focal point for for the industry to bring about some special events on top of regular things. So even if and if you're a part of a company that isn't in the industry, you can actually announce it as it is nationally Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Let's up the level of communications and awareness and engagement that we're doing. And then at the end of it, we can go back down to our normal amount. Hopefully there is a normal amount, not nothing, but it's a good focal point, I think, for those special events.
Well, and I think that's a great point. And also, this is the time of year we're heading into the holiday season. So for consumers, scams, ripoffs, stuff like that, going to be happening quite a bit, right? So here's your new PS5, and it turns out to be a brick in a box, right? We see that stuff happen every year. We hear about those sorts of things. I do think that we need to be careful what we say, though. I saw something on Twitter yesterday where somebody got a little bit lambasted. They got roasted over a tweet that basically they were saying, stop using text messages SMS for second factor. And we as security professionals, we kind of know what they mean, right? Like use something more secure, like an app or something like that. But when we put out that information to other people that don't understand, then they may be, they're going, oh, well, this is stupid anyways, when honestly, it's better than nothing, right? So we got to be careful with what we say to people too.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's where the communication needs to be split into like 2 or 3 tiers. There's one tier of information that we need to give to the users. And that's like for the average person that's using the systems, whether it's their home environment, the corporate environment, and say, okay, do this, very simple, just simple to understand and use and what have you. Then there's the discussions we have with tech peers. So there's like our developers, the programmers, the coders, the people who do assurance, system designers, user experience designers, all that kind of stuff. And that's a bit more, that's where you can get into a bit more of this nuance as to like, should you use this level of authentication versus that? Is this password hash better than the other? And the third level is the really deep discussions that we have as security peers amongst ourselves. And that's the place where we can really debate and discuss like, well, I think that SMS is completely useless. I can hack it so many ways. Well, okay, no, I can do this. And try to tie those all together. And I think you're right. When you put that level of conversation out into the public domain, you do nothing but confuse the average user.
Yeah, and it can push us a step back. After all this time, we've been saying, no. Make sure on your bank account you have that second factor, which is a text message enabled. And then they see something like this from a supposed security expert that says, no, don't do that, right? And they're going to read that wrong. So
what's the alternative? Nothing. Because many organizations, there is no alternative. It's SMS or nothing.
Yeah. It's not something that the end user can affect change on.
No.
It's something that the provider has to offer that as an option.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you completely. We need to have those other discussions, but we need to make sure we're not putting that out necessarily in a public forum without at least some very significant disclaimers, right? Your first 280 characters is okay. If you're an end user, don't listen to anything from this point forward, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way you'd be able to do that reasonably. So speaking about doing things reasonably, I know you had a story we wanted to talk about today, dealing with our favorite topic, which is... Wait, there's more?
I know, you know what, I'm just conscious of time. We're hitting a point. We can talk about this next week as well, but I just wanted to stay on this topic just for one more point, because Tom, a few years ago, you done this great talk at RSA about rolling out a user awareness campaign within an organization. I was wondering if you could just share some of the key points about that, because that was really good.
I think the key part of it was multi-channel. We used as many different channels as we possibly could. We used video, we used email, we used sort of leafleting, posters. We sponsored events, so the drink bottles at the events had stickers with the campaign on. It was fully branded and named. We tied in the awareness campaign to the training campaign as well, so the branding was the same, the characters were the same within them, and so it was very, very broad and designed to be run over a 24-month period. During which time, at some point, it would be a rinse and repeat. And plenty of learnings from it, and plenty of things that went wrong, as you'd expect in anything sort of quite so grandiose. But it was still very effective and actually got the job done.
And the title was really interesting. You said, like, let's stop. What was it? Let's start marketing. Start marketing and
stop selling training and awareness and start marketing it, or something like that. Because it was about actually using the concept of marketing, actually appealing to lifestyle choices rather than you must do this, you must do that. It was very much about rather than just throwing everything you can and seeing what sticks at the wall, on the wall, and focus on that. Actually look at what's going to drive changes. And let's face it, the advertising and marketing industry does very, very well at this. And its principle is that it focuses, on what the product can do for you and your lifestyle versus, what the product does in of itself. So what is, customer and product, put them together. That's what we're selling, not this product will be, is the best by itself.
No, that's good. And, it's interesting that we're talking about this. When I first came on board with KnowBe4, in our offerings, we offer all kinds of stuff like posters and artwork and all that stuff you can have printed. And when I first saw that, I was kind of like, I don't know if anyone would ever use that. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Actually, this is brilliant, because you put these things up, they're reminders, they're around everywhere. And it really sunk into me when we have a poster up in the office, and it says loose tweets sink fleets. And it's a spin-off of the loose lips sink ships thing, right? And every time I see that, I think of that. And every time I kind of hear that phrase anywhere, boom, I go back to thinking about that. And I'm like, it's almost subliminal. It for whatever reason clicked with me. And now I remember that phrase. And so having those things around is actually very beneficial, and keeping them in places and keeping them in front of places where people, you may not think that they're picking it up. Subliminally, you just pick it up. You just do. And so I like
the washrooms, the bathrooms, the back of the toilet stalls, all that sort of stuff, in the smoking shelters, in the lift lobbies.
Yeah.
What's a lift lobby?
Elevator.
Okay,
hangout place. Right. I don't know, whatever you Americans call it.
Sorry, it's that weird language thing of yours. Okay. No, that's a good idea though, and I love that, because if you are going to be putting out some stuff like this, like we put out a packet this month for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month with a bunch of stuff, but why not take that and actually sit down with one of your marketing people and say, okay, so where can I use this best? Where can I leverage this best? Like a lot of times as technical people and security people, we tend to live within our little realm, and we don't necessarily go outside that very much. So it's a good idea to actually get those folks involved as well. I think that's a good point.
Absolutely. I actually believe that in this day and age, if you're not leveraging those folks, you're losing. It doesn't matter how great your content is, because it's very, very difficult for a pure security person to be effective in that marketing and advertising space. And everyone's competing for attention these days.
Yeah, and it's nothing against the security people. This is just not the world we live in. It's not what we're trained for. Marketing and even HR are they're used to dealing with humans and changing behavior, right? That's their day-to-day thing. That's what they've gone to school for, learned for, go to conferences for. We don't do that, and there's no shame in that. But I think we need to leverage that more often.
It's like trying to get a train driver and stick him in the front of a plane and saying, take the same number of passengers to the same destination. Actually, you could probably work it out, but it's going to be a bit of a horror show.
That made no sense at all, but we'll go with that, Tom.
And you say my analogies are bad.
Come on.
I will continue to say your analogies are bad, but he just set the new bar for low. But thank you for the input. We're really glad to have you as a sponsor.
Yeah.
I'll take my lunch back if you carry on in that vein.
Let's humor him. Just humor him.
He hasn't had pudding yet.
No, the check hasn't cleared yet.
He hasn't had the buns.
All right. Well, you know what? Time-wise, we're bumping up against that 17 minutes sort of time frame here. About 2 of it being valuable.
Thank you. Yeah. But thank you, Tom, for coming and joining us this week.
It's been an
absolute pleasure. Eric, I'm going to kick you out now. So thank you very much for coming along, Eric.
I hate you.
Lovely to have you. So until next week, we'll probably come back to a shorter time. I won't be in Tom. Well, actually, this is a very nice place Tom has over here. He feeds me. I might keep coming back here. But till next week, stay secure, my friends.
Stay secure.